Why simple things feel so hard. There are days when answering one email feels harder than running a marathon. Because it's never just an email, it's the potential judgment, the possibility of misunderstanding, the version of you that email might represent. So your brain turns a small task into an emotional event. It's being vulnerable. It's being open to judgment. It's being seen by people in a fashion that they might not approve of. And that's what we need to get comfortable with. The vulnerability, the I'm okay. It's never the task. It's the meaning we attach to the task. The email becomes proof of your competence or incompetence. That phone call becomes a referendum on your confidence. We don't avoid tasks. We avoid what we think they say about us. Once again, it's putting ourselves out there, being vulnerable. Let them judge. Let them say what they want. You know inside, deep down, who you are, who you represent, and it's congruous with your email or with your phone call or with your clothing or your hair. And that's how you are. That's how you travel through the world. Our brains treat small decisions like they're permanent identity statements. Replying wrong feels like being wrong. Choosing poorly feels like being the kind of person who chooses poorly. So instead of deciding, we freeze. Because freezing feels safer than defining ourselves incorrectly. I think we need to be bold. I think we need to say, this is who I am. I have friends. I have family who love me. Take me or leave me. And it's on you. I've developed who I am, and this is what you get. I make mistakes. I sometimes forget things. I'm what you call a human being. We think avoiding something lowers stress, but it actually keeps the stress alive. And I'm going through that right now. I got a couple big decisions happening in my life, and I feel that I just sort of push them off to the side. Oh, it'll all work out. But it just sits on top of me like a snowmobile suit or a blanket, a wet blanket. It's just always there. And I'm trying to say to myself, oh, it's not that wet a blanket. It keeps it on life support. Avoidance doesn't remove anxiety. The thing sits in the background, quietly draining energy until it feels heavier than it ever needed to be. That's something I've been paying attention to a lot lately, is how my energy feels in different rooms with different people. Do I feel drained? Do I feel energized? Do I feel supported? And I'm finding that's a huge component in my day because right now it just varies so much. And I'm looking for viable situations where my energy is built and supported. Procrastination isn't laziness. It's fear wearing sweatpants. It's fear of doing it badly. Fear of starting something you might not finish. Once again, getting into that vulnerability aspect where you're presenting yourself to the world. Fear of discovering you're not as good as you hoped. We all have those little voices in our head, and as negative talk sometimes goes, there's also positive talk that is somewhat delusional, thinking we're different or better than who we are. And when the reality of life doesn't match that, it can cause a lot of stress. So it's just more or less connecting with who you are on the inside, feeling who you are, and being good with that. So we scroll, we cling, we recognize nothing. We reorganize nothing and call it being unmotivated. It's just, there's forces pulling at us in different directions and from different people. And that pulls our energy apart so we can't focus on certain things. The more something should be easy, the more shame we feel when it's not. One of the things I found is whenever someone says, oh, this will be easy, it's the exact opposite. Something happens, something breaks. It becomes the most difficult thing that could have happened in my day. So whenever people say that, I just go, get them to hit the brakes and let's go. Let's just explore how it turns out. It's not quite cruelty of should. It turns normal human friction into personal failure. We don't just feel stuck. We feel embarrassed about being stuck. So this whole thing of being stuck is not as simple as, yeah, I'm stuck. It takes on a life of its own. It gets back into the thing of people can see me in an awkward or unusual position of being stuck, and I'm embarrassed. And shame makes everything heavier. When we're feeling shame, it's like everything is slowing down. The world is spinning. The feelings inside are heightened because we always think everyone is looking at us. And occasionally people do look at us and wonder what's going on. But for the most part, they're busy in their own heads. We wait for motivation, but motivation usually shows up after we start. Motivation is not the engine. It's the byproduct. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates clarity, and clarity makes things feel easier than they did in our head. So oftentimes when things are whirling around upstairs, I'll go to a coffee shop and I'll just sit there, open a book, and write down everything that's bothering me at that point in my life, from the simplest things. And seeing it on a page presents it in a very clear fashion, and suddenly it doesn't seem as difficult as I thought it was going to be. Mental exhaustion makes things simply heavy. They feel emotionally heavy. When you're tired, everything costs more, decisions feel louder, tasks feel personal. Your brain isn't broken, it's just overloaded. And I think the real trick is just to recognize when you have an overload and give it some time of calm. Just take a moment, stand back from the situation, from the argument, from the uncertainty, from the I can't make a decision. Go for a walk, and suddenly things start to line up. It doesn't seem as difficult as it was moments ago. Doing one small thing creates momentum. Thinking about it drains momentum. If you just break it down into the simplest task and just execute on that task, and then into the next task and the next task, and suddenly you've got momentum. You're a rock rolling down a hill, and things better get out of your way because you've got momentum happening. Thinking feels productive, but it's not movement. Movement is movement. One reply, one click, one imperfect start. That's usually enough to loosen the knot. If basic tasks feel hard lately, it doesn't mean that you're failing. It means you're human and you're probably just tired. You're not lazy. You're not broken. You're not secretly incapable. You're a human being with a nervous system doing its best. And sometimes, just like any electrical system, you put the air conditioning on, leave it on, you put the microwave on, you put the oven on. It's draining a lot of power. And sometimes you just got to turn one or two things off in order for the other thing to run and get its power back, get back online. And that deserves a little more patience than we usually give ourselves. One of the things that I've been trying to pay attention to is this nurturing myself, because I've always been like a go, go, go person. And I'm finding that that's good and all, but you got to be in it for the long game. You've got to have the energy each and every day. And if you're not nurturing it and see how important that your life is and taking the moment for you, it can lead to burnout, and that can shorten a lot of things. Thank you very much for being with me today.